I just can't find the right woman. There are no good women left in this world. Is that really so? Fernanda and I are here in Malaga, and while this may look like paradise, I would propose the idea that you are already living in paradise. Let me explain. You're a man with a decent job, perhaps an amazing job, amazing career, great business. Maybe you've got your health handled. You're doing well in a lot of areas, and you live most likely in a place where there's not just a little farm village like the one that I grew up on with 3,000 people, but there's actually a decent population with women. In Malaga, for example, there's people at the beach that you could just meet and learn to introduce yourself to. Now, you're blocked internally. It's not so much that there aren't really any possibilities for you to meet women. You, one, simply lack a skill set, and second, you have limiting beliefs. There is something called the reticular activation system, something that Tony Robbins has been talking about for years. And it's basically selective focus. Our brain is bombarded with insane amounts of information every second. So how does the brain differentiate between what makes it into the conscious mind, into our awareness, and what doesn't? Well, it generally groups things into opportunities and threats. And a threat is always going to have higher importance than an opportunity, because opportunities in life to make your life better can only be so good. You can only experience so much happiness. I mean, there's a shit ton that you can, but there's a limit to it. But a threat can be ultimately bad, which means death. So a threat will always have higher standing for your unconscious mind than an opportunity. That's why if you don't train your brain, it'll always automatically look for what's wrong. But regardless, the things that make it into our conscious mind, the things we become aware of, are either opportunities or threats. So certain things we're just inherently afraid of, and other things we start noticing after we've ascribed a degree of significance to them. For example, have you ever bought a car and then all of a sudden you saw that car everywhere? Have you ever bought a certain type of jacket and all of a sudden you saw that jacket everywhere? Is it that you manifested that car into your environment, even if you're not driving it, even if you just happen to be seeing it? Is it that you manifested NPCs, non-playable characters in the video game of life who are now wearing that jacket? No. These things have already been around you. Little example. If I were to ask you right now to focus on everything with the color yellow, focus on everything with the color yellow. Everything that you see in this video, focus on everything that you can see that's yellow. Look for yellow, look for yellow, look for yellow. Okay, close your eyes real quick. Do it for me. Close your eyes for a second. What did you see that's purple? Probably not so much. Now, open your eyes and look for purple, look for purple, look for purple, look for purple. And probably you're already looking at certain things that aren't even purple, that are maybe blue, that you now want to call purple. There's so many things around us. The opportunities to achieve the outcomes we want are factually always around us. We just don't allow ourselves to see them. How many times have you done that? You went to a bar, you went to a supermarket, or somewhere and you said, maybe it's just your general belief. There just are no good women left. I just can't see anybody. Really? If you really wanted to go for a walk, during your next walk, on a Saturday afternoon perhaps, if you really wanted to see somebody that you could go and introduce yourself to, who might be physically attractive, to figure out whether there's a degree of compatibility between your personalities or not, if you really wanted to, do you think you could? If somebody were to threaten the well-being of your family, could you find a way to introduce yourself to amazing women, or potentially amazing women? 100%. If somebody were to threaten the well-being of the people you care most about, if you didn't introduce yourself to 3 new people every day, would you find a way to do that? For sure you would. And I'm not saying that you have to do that every day, but you have to go out there and socialize a little bit, and evidently you are capable of doing it if your why is strong enough, if your reasons, your motivation, your away from or your towards motivation is strong enough. So what I would invite you to do is to stop making excuses and to open your mind and to get in touch with what's really going on. What's really going on is you don't want to get rejected. Fine, there's processes called progressive desensitization that you can use. It's not that big a deal. We all have that fear of rejection. Maybe you don't want to look stupid in front of other people. Maybe You've made bad experiences in the past, somebody cheated on you, and now you think there's no loyal women left. Is that really so? No, it really isn't. If somebody were to threaten the well-being of the people you care most about, if you didn't find an amazing woman within a year that you could spend your life with, you would. You'd find a way to do it. If somebody were to threaten to blow their heads off, yes, you would. Oh, okay. So it's not that the opportunities aren't there. It's not even that you're not capable of doing it. You just don't have enough emotional leverage over yourself to get yourself to take that level of action. So what I want to make you aware of in this video here at the beach in Malaga is that there are countless opportunities, not just at a beach. If you live in New York, amazing city. If you live in a city with 100,000 people, there's more than enough people. We're not even talking about online. Theoretically, you don't even have to ever approach anybody in person. You could just use online dating to then schedule dates. That is perfectly fine. But let me tell you something. If you develop the skill set of introducing yourself to somebody, be that on a beach, be that in a Whole Foods, be that in an Apple store, in your gym, it will create a degree of confidence that you cannot fake. Because 99.9% of men, I would argue, perhaps more, will not be able to do a sober approach. Maybe you need to drink alcohol when you go out. It was fun. I was actually with a client this past weekend here in Malaga, and he said that was the first time that I went to a bar or club without drinking. And I said, what? That's crazy. That's so insane to me that you need alcohol to go and have fun. You need alcohol to go and introduce yourself to fellow members of the human species at a nighttime scenario. And let me tell you something, if you want to find an amazing woman, you really don't have to go to bars and clubs. It's not necessary. Now, there is a difference between you could just use online dating or meet women in real life. But there's a big difference between bars and clubs. Clubs, highest level of difficulty. Can you meet amazing women there? 100%. Can you meet amazing women in bars? 100%. But there's a difference between bars and clubs, which is that bars are actually a fairly easy environment because the music is so much less loud. The context is very different. A club, you really have to scream and bring ridiculous levels of energy, and that may not necessarily be the environment that you want to go to. Now, there are amazing and normal and highly educated women who go there. Let me tell you that, 100%, because everybody wants to have fun. Everybody wants to stop being logical for a couple of hours a week before on the Monday they go back to being their productive and well-behaved selves. So bars are definitely a great way for you to go and socialize, but you have to make a decision to do it without alcohol. Because, as I said to clients one of these days, is that there's no way that your life is going to be any worse in 11 years if you decided to cut out alcohol or reduce it drastically. There's just no way. Think about all the stupid shit you did when you were drunk. Think about how less calibrated you are. Think about the lack of confidence it creates within you. If you know that you need alcohol as a short-term confidence boost, it really takes away from your self-esteem. There's no way in which your life is going to be any worse if you were to reduce that. On the other hand, there's 11, 7, 17 very real ways in which your life can go to utter shit if you continue to do that. So whether you're at the beach, whether you're in a big city, open your eyes and stop BSing yourself. Stop bullshitting yourself and understand that there are amazing opportunities out there to meet fantastic women. They are everywhere. Let me just increase the brightness a little bit here because we want to have, that's great. There are amazing opportunities to meet women everywhere. They truly exist. But you have to make a decision to stop lying to yourself. When you see somebody you didn't approach, say, okay, a little bit of approach anxiety, that's fine. And by the way, you can't expect yourself to do a spontaneous approach if you haven't gone through a process of progressive desensitization. If you're in a shopping mall and you can't approach, don't beat yourself up for not being able to do that. You have to progressively desensitize yourself and work your way up. Being able to spontaneously do an approach in an everyday scenario, that's quite a skill set. That's not easy. So don't beat yourself up if you're not spontaneously able to do that. One of the things that immobilizes you is your own expectations. And that's true in a micro context, where in the situation where you happen to be on the date with a girl, with a lady, you expect every word of your mouth that comes out of your mouth to be perfect before you can say it. That's part of the reason. There's a lot more, and we teach techniques for that in my coaching program. Apply for a free initial call if you want help with that. But one of the reasons you run out of things to say is because you have such high expectations for what you are allowed to say. You don't allow yourself to flow with an impulse that enters your mind and just see where the story goes before you even, while you already started talking. You just start talking about something. Like me, for example, I'm here at the beach, there's beautiful palms, a beautiful night sky. One of the places that I would actually like to visit, there's an observatory in Hawaii where you can see the sky. It's absolutely magnificent and beautiful from what I hear, because it really makes you realize how insignificant you are. You should, on the one hand, as a man, believe that you're the most important person in the world. You're the king, you're the alpha, you're the omega. But at the same time, it helps to ground yourself in the understanding that in a million years, humankind probably won't exist anymore. So it's way more about helping yourself and other people experience happiness and joy. Speaking of that observatory, Joe Rogan actually talked about that in an amazing podcast. I'm sure you know who he is. One of the things that I would criticize him for, by the way, the only thing is this whole weed thing. That's the one thing that I don't condone. I think he's an absolute legend. And we should all be so grateful that somebody like him exists in this world to shape the cultural narrative. And he influences so many people, millions of people, to work out, to be better. He has 3 jobs. He's a UFC commentator, he's a podcast host, and he's a stand-up level comedian. Speaking of stand-up comedy, if you see what I'm doing? You just flow, and you flow, and you flow, and you flow. I didn't know where this was gonna go. Cameras running, maybe 50 to 100 people behind you guys in a restaurant that are watching this. I had no idea where this was going to go, but I allowed myself to flow with this. So, reduce the expectations you have of yourself. Coming back full circle to what I was saying earlier, the more macro goals you have, they can also be quite demobilizing, as I was saying, because if you expect yourself to already have to be perfect without putting in work for X amount of months, you can feel what's the opposite of strengthened? Weakened. Because it doesn't matter. Have you ever had that? You really have a productive day, you work maybe 7 hours, 14 hours, and then by the end of the day, you still look at your to-do list and there's these 4 items that you just didn't get to, and you just didn't feel particularly good about yourself. No matter how much you do, by the end of the day, you'll still find a way to feel upset, to be angry at yourself, to be dissatisfied with yourself and the work that you put in if you compare it to where you should have been. Comparison is the #1 thief of joy. So what you should compare yourself to is the progress you've made. Progress equals happiness. You don't have to already be in a relationship to feel good, but if you're making tangible progress, you will feel alive. So start using general social interactions to put yourself in a state of flow. And I've talked about this numerous times. One of the missions that I have for my life is to help people feel at home in the world. And the way you can feel at home in the world is if you connect with people. Talk to the lady who's at the supermarket till. Have a 7-second interaction. Ask her how her day is going. Shake the hand of the Uber driver after you had a bit of a conversation. Now, oftentimes I'm in the Uber and I'm just working, responding to clients, right? Because maybe somebody's already in a relationship and there's a challenging situation going on with different family members or something that needs to be responded to urgently. So I get it. Sometimes you just want to work. But you're already working a lot. Take 7 minutes a day to socialize in everyday interactions. You will feel more connected to the people around you. And if you feel more connected and you feel more at home, that in turn will make it easier to approach again. But there's a momentum. You have to create a macro momentum of taking action. You can't expect yourself to be super social if all you do is work and gym or work and CrossFit. You have to make it a habit to, 1, spot the opportunities and go for it. If you want my help with that, remember, we've done this now with men from 30, 31 countries, helped them find the right girlfriend, life partner or wife, create an amazing social circle for themselves, high quality male friends, then click the link underneath this video and apply for a free initial consultation call. During that call, we're gonna map out a plan based on your individual situation. We're gonna look at what it is you're currently struggling with. What is it you're already doing well? Where are you? Where do you wanna go? What's the delta? And how can we bridge that gap? So apply for a free initial consultation call, put the learnings from this video into practice, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Take care.